to Those Working Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, movie, TV, pop culture fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Christine.
Today, we're having a Sarah J. Maas Multiverse Extravaganza episode.
Big Sarah J. Maas fans up in here. OG, very excited to dive into everything in her universes. And we're celebrating the end of our ACOTAR read-along. We finished the book this week after
Finally.
30 episodes. We're going to be chatting like our favorite SJM, that's Sarah J. Maas, SJM ships, books, scenes, characters, and we're going to be trying our very best to avoid big spoilers. And if there happens to be something that we really want to talk about, we will warn you and tell you to jump ahead like a minute. But just so you know, Natasha has only read up to the beginning of Air of Fire in the Throne of Glass series.
Yep.
And I have not finished the second Crescent City book, but I have been listening for the past 24 hours trying to be ready for this chat and finish it. And I have like 4 hours left.
Wow.
I'm getting close. I'm gonna finish this baby today. All right. This book is gonna be finished. And I can't guarantee a book talk anymore because it's gone so long.
You've missed, there's too much like empty space.
There's so much in this book, and I'll see how I feel at the end, honestly. We'll see. We're going to talk about it a little bit in this, but again, without huge spoilers if we can avoid them. So if you haven't read everything, it's okay. Just pay attention. If we say the name of something, that we're going to potentially be dropping a big spoiler, we'll tell you to like mute for a certain amount of time or just skip ahead because you have the you can do that. You can do it.
I
skip
think
ahead.
The only one that is not safe is probably A Court of Thorns and Roses, because we've read all of those.
Oh, you mean the whole series? Yeah, the whole series of A Court of Thorns and Roses we have finished. So maybe if you haven't finished that, you are a little in danger. But like, again, I think we're going to try to warn for big spoilers. I think a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about is mostly like character based, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm so excited. And I'm so excited to finally fucking finish Crescent City 2.
Me too.
I've had this weighing on me forever. Like, initially it was the pressure of doing a book talk because I have done book talks, TALK. I know it sounds like talk because I have a Jersey accent. Book talk. I've done book talks for all of Sarah J. Maas's books, and I do really in-depth discussions. And this book just, I could feel the weight of the discussion so hard, and I was way too busy to put the effort I wanted to into it. And now I've gotten to a point where I'm just like, you know what, the weight's kind of gone. I'm ready.
Yeah, at this point it's just like, get it done.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say the same for me in Throne of Glass series, but that's a whole other thing.
The Throne of Glass series is so good.
I wasn't even gonna read it, but whatever. Okay.
It's so good. It's my favorite. Okay, let's move into Snap Crackle pop culture news. Okay, we've ended up having a bunch of stuff on this news today. Do you want to start us off?
Yeah. Okay. So really big news. Little Mermaid made $200 million its opening weekend, which I think is the biggest opener for a Disney live action. Don't quote me, but that's a lot. That's really good, and I'm very proud of that. And yes, Katie says best live action remake by far. I full-heartedly agree with that. It is. I can't stop thinking about it. I saw it a week ago, and I just need to get back in the theater and watch it again. It is so good. I need to watch it again. But unfortunately, it's been being review bombed, on the like the major sites. So, and it's a bunch of terrible people who are racist and are just being absolute asshats. So, Don't let that fool you. It is literally the best remake.
Julia says, as someone who didn't like the other live action remakes, should I give this one a chance? And Katie says, yes.
Katie says, I didn't know I needed an Eric bet on it moment until I saw it. Okay, yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a spoiler, Katie.
I won't go too much into that, but
to be honest, that does make me more excited to see the movie, but it does make me wish that Zac Efron played Prince Eric.
No.
Yeah.
He's way too old.
Yo, I mean in his youth.
Oh. I don't know. It's really nice that Prince Eric has like a English accent. He's so cute. My favorite thing about Little Mermaid is that basically just turns into a rom-com for like the middle of the film, and it's the best. Okay, so if you are like missing the romance aspects of these, like this film just fills your heart. It's so cute. I love it.
Today in Taylor Swift news, I bring you more random irrelevant things.
We've got 2 on here. I'm always like, I don't even know how you see this stuff because I don't see any of it anymore.
I follow every Taylor Swift thing on Twitter. Wow. Okay, so Taylor Swift's Cornelia Street apartment is currently for sale, and it's listed for $18 million. I just can't even fathom having $18 million to pay for an apartment. Yeah. Who's lining up to purchase the Cornelia Street apartment? Will it be a Swiftie? Oh my gosh.
That's like mega star money.
Yes. Naomi says, I visited Cornelia Street. So I was under the false impression, because when I listened to it, I just imagined it being in London. And so I thought Cornelia Street was in London all this time. And then I realized it was in New York back like 2 years ago. And I was so confused.
Taya visited
how did
it.
I not know this? Yeah, I would have visited it by now. It was not very far. And on my other Taylor Swift news, she just announced today, Friday the 2nd, when we're recording this, that she's doing a South American leg of the tour. It's mostly in August and November. And Sabrina Carpenter is going to be joining her, which is so exciting. I want to see Sabrina Carpenter open for Taylor Swift.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. I think they're so cute with she's like, she also has really great lyrics, and I just feel like their music is really nice together. Mm-hmm. So, what else
What is
happened?
this Lana Del Rey news?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, the more Lana version of Snow on the Beach was released last week, and the album Born to Die, Lana Del Rey is like huge. Is that her debut album? I think of it like that. Yeah, it came out around 2011, 2012 maybe. Had its biggest streaming day ever on Spotify 2 days ago. Wow. With over 6 million streams. So this new more Lana version has thrown Lana up into like a new hemisphere of fans, because I guess Lana hasn't had a huge hit since those years. So the people, like the newer, younger fans, probably don't know her really. Taylor's younger fans, and I think they're now falling in love with Lana and her Born to Die album, which is a masterpiece, a very sad masterpiece.
Yeah, I honestly, like, that's what I've been listening to this week ever since our albums episode. Mm-hmm. And I, like, yes, I love every single song on that. And it is sad I don't know her other albums. I know her singles, like West Coast. I mean, even Young and Beautiful from the Gatsby movie, but that was still like
that's
2013, 14.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know her new stuff, and I want like another Born to Die-ish soundtrack album.
I know Taylor really loved one of her other albums too, but I tried to listen to it and I didn't get into it. But a lot of people love this album, Norman fucking Rockwell. That one.
Oh, I have not listened to that.
That album cover I've seen a lot. And Taylor, when it came out, was like, oh my God, I love this. That's a Jack Antonoff one. Oh, interesting, Abby.
Oh.
Interesting. All
So
right.
there's news about The Witcher. Not really, but
Ooh.
if people don't know, The Witcher season 3 is coming. I'm very excited. This is the last season that Henry's going to be in, just to remind you all of that. So there's going to be 2 volumes, like what they did with Stranger Things. It's 8 episodes. Volume 1 comes June 29th, and I think it's like the first 4 or first 6. And then Volume 2 is July 27th to get people to keep.
You know, the thing that makes me excited about this volume thing, actually, because when I first heard about it, I was disappointed, but I'm actually hoping it makes for a more exciting season because they do have to amp up to a big episode 4. And with season 2, it was very slow going and we amped up like the last episode. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we just started moving. How is the season over? So yeah, I'm excited to see Henry Cavill in his best role again.
Yes. I don't know if I just love him, so I don't know if it's his best role. I mean, it's a great role.
It's a great role. It's iconic for him, I feel like. All right. We're going to move on into what right now, but before we have a quick word from our sponsors. All right. Those Working Fangirls is supported by Manta Sleep. Sleep is important, so important to our overall health, our mental health, everything. And it gets harder as we age and have more worries in our day-to-day. And what can be really helpful in getting a more restful, deeper, uninterrupted sleep is a sleep mask. Using a sleep mask has been proven to do just that. And studies have shown that they can also improve cognitive learning and alertness.
Yeah, we all want that. So Manta Sleep, they're all about the pro-nap movement. Christine's got her flight attendant mask. She's going to show you how it works if you're watching on the YouTube channel. But a nap is actually more effective than a cup of coffee, and it's better for your health and your energy levels. And what makes it easier than like a portable blackout curtain with razor thin Bluetooth headphones. And Manta Sleep makes the world's best sleeping mask. They provide 100% blackout for deeper sleep, and they're infinitely adjustable. So if you have a large head, a small head, it will work for you. And it's made of soft, breathable material with zero pressure on the eyelids.
Yes, Manta Sleep, these are luxury sleep masks. And this is the Manta Sleep sound mask that we're talking about and showing, the one that has the Bluetooth headphones in it. Natasha and I went on a trip together earlier, and it was so hard to fall asleep because we were sharing a bed and we couldn't listen to our sleep sounds correctly because we had to put in AirPods, which are so uncomfortable to sleep with. The Manta Sleep Sound Mask is there to solve all your issues with sleeping with AirPods. So it's not going to hurt your ears. It has a 20-hour battery life. So it's going to last you a good amount of time, and it's never going to make loud beeping noises when it's running out of battery. So it's not going to wake you up. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have to go searching in the morning for your lost AirPods in your bed. This is just so great for times where you have to be sharing a space and you're trying to fall asleep. So especially during travel, I'm really excited to bring this along with me.
Like, I use it all the time, so it took me a while to get this downstairs. So I'm like, it's in my bed. But I love listening to audiobooks on it. Like, if I'm going to go to sleep, it's a perfect way for something to tell you a story. And it just, like, literally is in your mind as you fall asleep.
In your mind.
It is. And you can't help but, like, obviously you have the blackout curtain, so you have to close your eyes, and it's the best. And also helps, like, you know, if sunlight is streaming into your room in the morning, it helps you stay asleep longer.
For sure. If you're looking to find a more restful sleep experience, you can visit mantasleep.com using the link in our show notes and use code FANGIRL to get 10% off your order. Woo! All right, what right now have you been reading this week?
I have. Okay.
Ooh.
So I needed something to get me out of my little rut because I've been in not a great mood this week. So I picked up The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Marina Zapata. I talked about that last week on the romance trope episode, and I was just reminded how much I love this book, and I really just wanted to reread it because I forgot so much that happened in it. It doesn't stand the test of time. There's some things in there that even I was like, oof, like that's not good. But it still has so many like little romance tropes. Christine, it has like obviously forced proximity. It has the elevator in it. It has a shared bed in it. Like so
we get
many,
all the good stuff.
all the good tropes. Yeah. So I'm more than halfway done with it. And I forgot to talk about this last week in our romance tropes episode. So if you haven't listened to that one, go back and listen to it. But Slow Burn.
It just came out. Yeah. Never
yeah,
mind.
it just came out for everyone who's listening
in
right now.
our time, it just came out, but in your time, it was a week ago.
And it Slow Burn is one of my favorite tropes. So,
oh yeah,
and this one is the
slowest burn.
The slowest burn. Like, and I think I remember kind of being annoyed with it because it's like it doesn't have enough time to like get them together, but it's still like so good and it makes you just I'm like literally itching to read it after this episode.
Nice.
What have
That's
you been
the
reading?
best feeling.
No.
I have actually just started Georgie All the Way, which Lauren Lowe recommended on our Christina Lauren episode, and then I know Abby read it and really liked it. So I started the sample, and I am really enjoying it already. So I'm going to buy it. I'm excited. And yeah, I haven't read anything else this week because I was working on writing stuff at the beginning of the week, and now I've been editing a YouTube video. I'm so excited to post on YouTube and get that rocking again.
Yay.
I'm editing a writing vlog, so that has been taking up most of my time, and I haven't gotten to sit and read, but hopefully now I will because I have a new book that I'm excited about. What have you been watching? Oh, what?
Real quick says she's rereading Colty, which is funny, which is another Marina Zapata book.
Oh.
But it's a soccer one. So, like, if you just finished Ted Lasso, this is a good one. If you're like,
sports!
Sports! I love a good sports romance. Roy Kent fan fiction. Yes, it is. Basically,
okay.
Like, what?
Speaking of them,
yes.
Ted Lasso series finale ended this week. I mean, aired this week. The show ended.
I know.
It was so adorable and heartwarming in so many ways. I had all of the tears in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was just it's such a good show. It really is. Love the message of it and how so many of the starting of the series, like all these people were so cold and now they're just so warm and
yeah, its kindness is contagious and it's transformative.
Yes.
And it will prevail in any situation, which is so beautiful. I just started rewatching it, and I'm on episode 3.
Oh,
it's so good.
I'm like, Alex and I were talking about this. Do you think that they could do like a spinoff?
I don't know, because it's so special that I'd be nervous for a spinoff.
That's true.
Like,
I would love to see. I mean, like the female version
of Ted.
Well, no, like because at the very end.
Oh, you mean the female team that they planted?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
I mean, I would love to see that too.
Yeah.
And if they got Keely and the Rebecca, yeah, and the team over there, and even if the male team was still there and there was like interacting and like support from them, that would be great. I don't know. Yeah. So Natasha's referencing in the final episode, there's like a nod to the fact that they might start a female team, and that would be a great spinoff. I didn't even think of it in the moment. I was too emo. Natasha was like, "Oh, a Guardians of the Galaxy song," and I was like, I didn't even register that. I was like, "Believe."
I just made me more emo. The Guardians of the Galaxy song. I'm like, ugh.
Oh my gosh. So, what else did you watch this week?
Okay, so I watched the Hillsong documentary, and this was like a huge thing in like the Christian cultural world. Since we now have Max, since HBO became Max, it's a Discovery Plus documentary that is now able for people who have HBO Max to watch. So yeah, it's very interesting. I love a good breakdown of like the mega churches, and this is that, and especially since Hillsong is so huge in like evangelical life. It's very interesting. There are two different Hillsong documentaries. We watched the Discovery Plus one, not the FX one.
And then oh, sorry.
What?
I was going to just take a second to talk about Max.
Oh.
I don't like Max.
They changed the user interface.
Yes, the interface sucks. Okay, I really actually liked the HBO interface because it wasn't too busy. It was very easy to see everything. And now you scroll down and it's like, oh, my eyes. I can't. And there's just so much reality TV in there. And
there is.
HBO is like about the exact opposite. It's home box office. It's a brand, a trusted storytelling brand. And I don't like it being overpowered by Discovery Plus. I'm sad.
Yeah. The other really annoying part about it is that you can't pause. Like you pause and then you have to pause again. It's like double click, at least for us.
Oh, I haven't even realized that yet.
At least it's not as bad as Apple, where like if
it does not
even say where you are.
I am getting so frustrated because before you said that, it had stopped doing that for me. Like Ted Lasso would always go back to my place, but like a minute before.
Ted Lasso always goes back, yeah.
Yeah, but now with Silo, it never remembers where the fuck I am. It will jump like 40 minutes before where I was. If I was like at the end of an episode, it'll be like in the beginning.
Ours will be like rewind to the beginning. It just restarts.
What are you doing, Apple? And then, like, on the old Ted Lasso episodes, it's doing the same fucking thing. So I don't know if it's only caring about the new episodes or something. I'm very confused. But
I don't know.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, it's like, I think Alex had paused. So Alex has been watching Succession, and I was just in the room where it happened. Okay, so because I
was just in the room.
Well, and then Alex spent a whole 40 minutes explaining to me the ending of Succession, so I know everything about the show and how it ended. And I've seen the first few episodes, so I know like the character breakdowns of everyone. But I just could not. I could care less about these guys, and I was just like, I don't want to watch this. But like Christine calls me in the middle of one of the episodes Alex is watching, and then he puts on pause, and then like, oh wait, that's HBO. Something he was watching something else on Apple, and like it just when the screensaver goes up, we just lose where we are completely.
It's so frustrating. And you know what? This is another random one, but on Paramount Plus, the line that shows you where you are in the episode doesn't update until you pause. Yeah. That's so annoying too. I'll be like, oh wow, I have like another 40 minutes left of this episode of Yellow Jackets, and then like you pause and it jumps all the way to the end, and you're like, what the fuck?
That's our little rant about
we could do streamers. A whole episode. I think we should do an episode about streamers. Actually,
yeah,
let's do it.
Let's
do it.
All right, so you have one more.
I just have not talked about Survivor. And the finale aired not this week, but last week, and I forgot to talk about it. So I really love this season. 3, like one of my favorite trios of all time, the Tika 3, made it all the way to the final 5, and they are just a hoot to watch. That is Carolyn, Jam Jam, and Carson. And they called themselves the Three Stooges. They were completely underestimated the entire time. And it was just such a joy to watch until the very last tribal council, where my favorite player had a crisis of confidence, and she did not explain her game. Carolyn was an amazing player, and she deserved to win, even though Jam Jam deserved to win too. But the way that the final tribal went down made me just very upset, because she lost confidence in herself. She'd already explained her game so well to us, and we'd watched her kill it. So it was a frustrating time to see her not win. I don't know if I'm spoiling Survivor.
Probably.
It's still going to be really fun to watch, because she's one of the best characters we've ever seen on the show.
Every time I talk about Survivor, I just feel like my eyes glaze over.
Well, kept it short and sweet there, okay?
Thanks.
Movies? Did you watch any movies this week?
Yeah. Literally after you called last night, Alex put on Reality. So
we
watched
wait,
that.
I forgot. Yeah, I watched it too.
Yeah. So it's a new movie on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm. Well, Max.
With
Sydney Sweeney.
Why did I just blank on her name? Yes, with Sydney Sweeney.
And it is an amazing performance on her end.
Yes.
She really it's based on the transcript of what actually happened with the woman who leaked the NSA article that
confirmed Russia's
that confirmed that Russia helped Trump win the election of 2016.
Why wasn't that a bigger thing?
Because it was a woman who did it. I don't know. I didn't even know.
No, like why wasn't the fact that there was actual confirmation?
Because just like everything else, it just like got shoved to the side. Just the list never ends of things. Shitty things that happened during that time. But anyway, it was really, really like intense and just well done by all the actors. And it's the literal transcript of what happened. So they're just acting out what happened. Like there was no script needed to be written. They had the tapes from it and they acted out what happened on the tapes, and they cut in like different pictures from this woman's actual Instagram and stuff when she's talking about different things. And when there's redacted moments, she like zaps out of the screen and it's just like goes silent for a minute. It's so well done.
It's weirdly suspenseful. What Alex and I were talking about.
Yeah, if you don't, it's because you're like going on a ride with Sydney Sweeney's emotions the whole time. And whatever she's feeling, you're feeling it because she's doing such a good job of portraying everything that's going through this woman's head.
The FBI agents are weirdly uncomfortable.
They're so awkward. The coughing guy.
Sorry, with sinus infection. Why are you there?
Oh my god. But yeah, if you don't read the synopsis, you have no idea what's going on the whole time. Like, I only knew because I read the little blurb. And did you know because I told you?
No, I was so confused. I was like, what is this about? And I looked it up myself because I was like, I can't. I need to know.
Yeah. And her name is Reality. I thought that
Reality
was a code
Winner.
name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's only an hour and a half, too.
Yeah,
so
it's
really
very quick. It's a good watch.
I wonder how long it took to film. Probably not very long at all.
Yeah, they probably were able to move production very quickly because there was no need for a script.
Or like a set.
Yeah, I know. It all takes place in this one house. Yeah.
Crazy.
Ready?
Okay. So I definitely suggest people watch it. Alex and I rewatched Prince of Egypt, the animated film.
I love that movie so much.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And the music is fantastic.
It is. I had the soundtrack as a child on CD.
Yes, and we were listening to it like Yes, we were listening to that on the way to Ren Fair, and like we're all like dancing and clapping.
Yes, I love that song.
Yeah, so rewatch that. That was a great time. Wonderful film. I want them to remake it into a live action, even though like the 10 Commandments is a thing from what, the 50s or 60s with
But that doesn't have a musical aspect to it.
No.
What's that other really great song that the sister sings when they're walking?
I was singing it in the shower last night.
Dun 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 dun. No, that's the same song. I can't remember, but it's so good. I have to go back to that soundtrack. It's been years.
When You Believe.
When You Believe, yes. Oh my gosh, so good. All right, we're going to roll on into our Sarah J. Maas extravaganza. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank all of you out there listening. Thank you for being here, for supporting the show. We want to ask if you're not yet following the show for free in your favorite podcast app that you do that so that it gets to you every week and you don't miss an episode. And if you like the show and you know a friend that might like the show, maybe tell them about the show. That's a great way to spread the word of mouth. And if you want to support the show in a bigger way, we have a Patreon. We do a half-an-hour show after every single show called Fangirl Tea Time, where we dig into deeper and more personal topics and stories. And there's now so many Fangirl Tea Times to dig into.
There's
once
30.
you become a patron. I know, 30! This is such a landmark episode. Like, 30? That's over half a year.
Crazy.
Is it? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I was like, what's 52 divided by 2? We have so many different perks over there. So if you want to check out our Patreon, the link is in our show notes.
We also have our New Moon commentary that just went up.
Yeah. Yeah, our New Moon movie commentary is out for the Team Edward tier and up. So if you haven't checked that out yet, it's a good one. It's a good one. All right. Sarah J. Maas, I'm so excited to talk about all the things. And I want to start it off by asking you, would you rather live, you and the listeners in the chat right now, would you rather live in the Throne of Glass world as one of Selena's friends, in the ACOMAF, A Court of Wings and Ruin, why did I use the third book, in the ACOMAF world as Feyre's friend, or in Crescent City as Bryce's friend? I just, like, my first thought when I thought of this question was like, I definitely don't want to be Bryce's friend. I feel like she gets everyone into fucking deep ass trouble.
I would definitely not want to be Bryce's friend either. Like, just the way like her lifestyle is does not match up with my lifestyle at all. The constant partying, the drugs, the drinking,
the constant danger.
Yeah, no, I mean everyone's in danger in these books, so you can't really. But like, I mean, she lost her best friend, so
yeah, like more intense danger than the other books. I think Bryce's friends are always in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know Selena very well, so I guess I'm just gonna be Feyre's friend because I like everyone else in those books.
Yeah, the thing with Selena being her friend, like she's always hiding like 50 different secrets and just doing shit, and you're like, what just happened? So I think definitely pick to be part of Feyre's like friend group in the Night Court.
Yeah. I have a question though, but
yeah.
So obviously Sarah J. Maas has gotten hugely popular, I think, like since the pandemic started, and this is like the first time I feel like I was an OG, like because Twilight was so big and that came out in 2005. And we were there when these books dropped. What are your thoughts on how big this fandom has gotten, and like just normal people like in our lives now reading these books and like hearing about it, not even through us, but just through social media and news and all that?
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's so strange because before it exploded as big as it is now, it was already huge. Everyone was reading Sarah J. Maas. So it was very strange when it like grew out of even the entire book bubble, and we see like our friends casually reading
Yes.
A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm like, where did you get that? Like, I'm pretty sure I was telling everyone to read this.
Yep.
Like 6 years ago.
Yes.
And someone recently actually left me a really nice comment that they love having all these to go back and watch, because now everyone knows everything that happens in all the following books. And in my book talks, like, it's only up to that book, because the other books didn't exist. Mm-hmm. So there's no spoilers in any of the discussion, and you can still discuss what you just read. Meanwhile, if you're reading with your friends now, they've all read past. So it feels like very easily they can accidentally spoil you. But yeah, it's weird. I always have that like initial like hipster thing, and I get past it. But like that initial like, what are you guys doing here?
I had this weird phenomenon a couple weeks ago where there was like a bunch of people talking about like Twilight in front of me, and I literally had so much to say that I couldn't say anything because it's just weird. And I feel like it's the same thing with Sarah J. Maas. It's like, or people do that. Or I mean, Alex has been reading Red Rising, and it's like, it's weird because we were positioned so closely to these authors and to the fandom, like as they were dropping. And so like we were there, and we have this kind of like ownership over it, especially you, Christine. Like, I mean, you were one of like the first content creators on the internet to like even have an interview with Sarah. She fucking came over to your house. Is that what happened?
Sarah didn't come to my house. No. But like, I did her ACOMAF release in LA.
Yes.
I moderated it, and we did a really fun video together. And it's so weird because she has become this like, I want to say like author deity figure now, you know? And I'm like, I have done all these things with her, and it just, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I know her-ish, and it's weird to have that type of like relationship with someone who like randomly blew up. And I feel the same way about Colleen.
Yep.
And it's like, it's so amazing that their books are doing so well, but it's like such a weird feeling to see everyone that you don't think is in the book world talking about their books. Like, holy shit.
Yes.
But yeah, if y'all haven't been around forever, if you want to watch, I have such a fun interview with Sarah J. Maas from 2016, and she's writing Wings and Ruin at that point. And, so, and I also have, some really fun moments from the live book, release event that we did that are really fun. And then I also did her Comic-Con event for ACOMAF. That audience wasn't as obsessed with her books, so like my inside jokes didn't go over as well. I remember feeling like getting a hot flash because like, okay, they don't get this, they don't know her books as well. Now those would go over so well. Everyone knows everything.
That Comic-Con panel was interesting because I remember, was it someone from Hulu? They were in the audience watching for Throne of Glass, seeing like how people would or like what kind of audience or fan base she has for Throne of Glass.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you not remember that?
I never knew about there being someone for Throne of Glass from Hulu in the audience. That
like
would have made me
wanted
nervous.
to see it like in real life because it was like, oh, the one you guys did at the Barnes Noble at the Grove went so well. And then now you're doing it again at Comic-Con. So like the hope was, I think the publishers or someone who, I don't know, her agents to show. Yeah, I think it was her agent or someone from Bloomsbury. What was her name? Lisa? Christie? Something like that. Do you remember her?
Know her. I'm blanking on her name now that you're asking. Oh, it's right here. Lizzie Mason.
Lizzie, yeah. I think she was telling that to me as you were like we were walking.
See, I was talking to Sarah. I did not hear any of this. But Sarah's one of those people that I like instantly like can have great chemistry talking to about things, and it's so easy to talk to her.
She's so fun.
She's so fun, and our events went so well. I've never felt better about an event than after that ACOMF event at the Grove. I was like, holy shit, that went so well. And then she came, she was so nice to come moderate the Again But Better event in Pennsylvania. And it was the best. I have a journal of my best days ever, and that's one of my best days ever. It was such a fun event, and she was so nice and had written like a million questions about Again But Better.
So nice. And she blurbed Sasha's book too.
Yeah, I think the first one, right?
The first one. Yeah.
She's very sweet. And yeah, her books are so fun, and it's amazing how well they're doing. I feel like she has kind of stopped doing in live events as of the last few years. Of course, there is the pandemic, but I feel like her fan base has grown so much that it's maybe like overwhelming. Yeah.
I mean, she is Stephenie Meyer of
this new
2020s.
Era. Yeah.
Even though
like Stephenie Meyer stopped doing many live events too because it's overwhelming. It's a lot.
Yes. I hope she comes back, like if and when the TV show or whatever comes out and starts doing. I do think I remember talking, so this is like a little insight, but I talked to the Hulu marketing team, and I was like, hey, as like from a manager point of view, whenever anything comes out for ACOTAR, like I've got the people that you want. And I told them, I'm like, this is going to be huge. Like it's good. Yeah. I was like, this is going to be huge. Do you guys know this? And they're like, yeah, we know it's big. I'm like, no. This is like Twilight meets Bridgerton. Like you guys got to do some Starfall balls. I don't know. Like we got to get some really cool things going, and people are just going to eat this up. Like that's how I kind of described it. It's like you have like the Twilight craze, that fandom, and then also like how widely loved Bridgerton is as well. And bringing those two together, it's like that's what we have here. And let's get a move on.
I hope they do a good job with it. And
take your time.
They have to take their time because I am not down for another messed up adaptation. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So you don't know much about Selena Sardathian, the first, but I feel like everyone who read Throne of Glass first has like a very special place in their heart for Selena Sardathian, and I felt, I don't know, a weird kinship with her, and until like later in the books where I started to veer off. But
why?
I don't want to say.
Oh, okay.
I think honestly, I think it was because of my ships.
I see. Yes, you're a big Dorian girly.
I am a big Dorian girly, and so later on, I started to get sad and be mad that Selena and Dorian weren't moving forward like I wanted them to. But I really, really thought she was a very compelling lead character because this was the first time I really saw a character do this. Sarah loves to do this thing with her characters where like they have a secret plan and you don't see it until after it's happened. And and then we kind of wind back. She does it really well, but sometimes in Crescent City I get really annoyed because I'm like, I'm over this because we've done it too many times. Bryce does it in a more annoying way than Selena.
Yes.
Bryce loves to fucking do this, or like it's just all of a sudden something has happened and you find out about it in like a paragraph. But with Selena, a lot of times I feel like we'd be in the moment and be happening, and she would know what's happening and we'd be following her lead rather than like knowing after the fact. But Let's see. Amy said, I feel like so many YA female characters are strong but not feminine, but she's both. And I love that she shows that you can be both. I love that too. That's probably also why I feel a like strong kinship to her, because she's like super badass and murdery and athletic, but also like is feminine and has both sides. That's so real. Yes.
I feel like that just got so lost with like the early 2000 or like the 2010s people, like female protagonists, and it was refreshing to like when I did finally read Throne of Glass, I was like, oh, she likes getting dressed up, she just never was able to. And not being like, I don't want to get dressed up in makeup, and I'm like,
yeah, I hate that.
Stop complaining.
Bella was always like, ugh, I don't want to.
Same with Katniss.
So, and
Julia
also
says, I feel like Selena was one of the first to break the I'm not like other girls mold.
Yeah, I loved, there's also an episode of A New Girl where they really do talk about that, which I loved, because Nick is dating this lawyer chick and she's very much like hard and kind of pokes fun at Jess because she thinks of her as like dumb because she likes these like floofy dresses and stuff. And Jess makes a point of being like, hey, just because I dress like this doesn't mean I'm just not as like smart as you, as this as you, as that. And it was really the first time I had seen that addressed, and it really made me feel like really good. And yeah, that's the same sort of thing that's going on with Selena here.
So is Selena like, is this like a Cinderella story? I saw someone in the chat talk about how it.
Throne of Glass, the original book, was a quote Cinderella retelling. So Selena Sardathian starts out, she's in a slave camp, and she is brought out of the mines to be considered for a competition to be the king's next assassin.
Yes.
And so she participates in this because she was trained by a master assassin. Like she grew up in as an orphan who was trained in this assassin school in a very harsh, traumatizing way. And then I forget how she ended up in the slave mines, but she did. And
I think they took over their like land or country or something. And no, she was she went to jail for something.
Yeah, probably. That sounds right. It's been a while. All right. So where was I going with this Selena rant? Oh, also, okay, just real quickly, Sarah J. Maas also was, her books kind of broke a mold that had been set in place during this time where, like, we were talking about this even last week, where in fantasy novels, usually, like, the first one is your one, you know? Yes. And it wasn't the first one or the second one.
Third one.
I love that about her book so much. Sarah J. Maas said dump him.
I think is what I got so baffled about, because I distinctly remember I didn't read Thorn of Glass. I first read ACOTAR first because my mind is like, I don't want to read the thing that everyone else is reading, and so. But like someone said, Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I was like, oh, I'm there. So I read ACOTAR first, and I was like, oh, I love this. And then I don't know if you remember this, Christine. This stuck in my mind. We were like traveling back from New York or something, and I was reading ACOMAF, the second one, and I was like, I don't like what's happening in this. I don't think they're gonna stay together. And you're like, wait, just wait. And I was like, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And then when you were like, hold. And then I mean, all I saw was you and Kat talking about Kale and Dorian. And I'm like, God. Wait, I like Dorian. He's cute. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. Like, I get so stubborn because I don't like, I like the one thing, like he's the one. It's hard for me.
I like the one too when I like them. Like I think I've definitely talked about this. How when I read ACOTAR after reading the first 3 books of Throne of Glass, and I was like, I don't like this. Like something feels. I just don't feel attached to this protagonist at all. I just feel off about him, about the guy, and so it was really weird for me to feel like that after being so in love with all of her characters and her love interest in the Throne of Glass books.
Yeah.
And I do love that the relationships, like you never know what's going to happen. It adds this spark of like, let me figure out what she's thinking for the long run here. Because with Kale and Dorian, part of the reason why we all got so intense was that like there was the possibility for either of them to still end up with her, you know? And till a point. But even to a point, even to book 4, I was like, she could still end up with any of them. You don't know. Katie. So, all right. Let's talk about Crescent City really quick. So, I haven't gotten to the end of book 4. So, book 4, book 2. So if this happens in the last 3 hours, what are
you about to say? If you say
nothing,
something,
I'm not going to say. I'm going to say like the first love interest. I'm waiting for something to happen because of the pattern, and I feel like she almost isn't doing it immediately because we're all expecting it.
Else.
We're all expecting something, but like she's not going to in the same way introduce a second love interest. Yeah, she's trying to subvert her own tropes. So I'm like on eggshells because there is no book hornier than Crescent City 2. I don't think I've ever read a book where I hear the words aching cock as many times as I've heard in this book.
I would say that A Court of Silver Flames.
No, because A Court of Silver Flames, like it happens in moments where like you want it to happen, but they're like randomly at a ball, and he's like, "Let's go in the closet and fuck." Like it's just like you guys just fucked in the previous scene. Like what's going on, you guys? Like. And then they go in a closet and there's just another couple in the closet getting it on. I'm like, why are these people all fucking all the time?
It didn't hit the same way as Silver Flames did. I think I'm going to look at this in a different way. I think because Bryce's lifestyle is very different and it's more modern, and I think
modern.
Well, yes, because no one has technology in any of these other books. They're all fighting with swords, no guns, no cars. In comparison to just like
the amount of sex they have, does that have anything to do with how modern it is? No.
I think the way they go about it, I don't know.
There's a scene where they have sex like floating in a weird underwater room. Do you know what I'm talking about? They're like in this random submarine and they're like in this chamber that's like weightless and they're having sex.
I don't remember this.
I don't ship them as much, so I don't like the scenes as much. Because it doesn't feel it's not like Nesta and Cassian, where it's like, it hurts so good that they want each other, but they're both not getting along.
Yes, I agree with that. I don't. Yeah, Julie says something about Hunt just doesn't do it for me.
Me too. That's why I'm waiting for something to happen.
Well, I also just like I don't relate to Bryce. I mean, I kind of do, but I kind of don't.
I related so much in the first Crescent City because first Crescent City is all about friendship in this way that really struck a chord and had me in my emotions so much. But that tether's not as strong in the second book.
Yeah. Wow, I'm agreeing with Julia again. She says, I prefer the other relationships in Crescent City, which I do have to agree on that, which is like one of my top ships is from Sky of Breath.
You want to tell us? Sky of Breath.
I'm trying to be not spoilery here. So Rune and Agent Day.
Yes.
Rune is
So
my favorite character in that book.
I love Rune too.
Her brother is
He's
the
had
best.
a great arc so far.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm kind of scared for him, but I just, in like book 3, I don't know what's going to happen because it feels like he's on this trajectory. And I'm not spoiling anything, Christine, because like we literally...
he did get a prophecy that he's the last of his line.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, ugh, I don't like this.
But maybe they break from the royal line because they don't want to be royal. I don't know.
I want to be royal.
There's a lot of stuff about being royal in the Second Crescent City that I'm just like, when royalty comes into the picture, I start to like glaze over. But all right, let's shift gears here. So who do you feel the most strongly about in ACOMAF? Is it Feyre or is it Nesta?
I mean Nesta, because Nesta's my favorite character. It's hard because it's like rereading ACOTAR. She's such a fucking bitch, and she doesn't do anything. But she does, and she doesn't. And I get it. And I'm way more like Feyre when it comes to family stuff like that. But I just think Nesta's a little bit more captivating as a character.
You know, okay, this is kind of, I'm going to just start with Feyre here. Feyre brings us into the fold as like the empathetic one because we kind of need that to be sucked into a book. Because if Nesta was the lead character all through book 1, we'd just be like, I hate this bitch, I don't want to read anything. But having such a large and grueling arc really endears you so much more strongly to a character. Mm-hmm. And I love that at the end of ACOTAR, we have like a very Ted Lasso realization. Okay, I'm bringing in the end of ACOTAR here, but like the riddle that she needed to figure out, the answer was love. I was so annoyed. I was like, did Dumbledore write this riddle? Like, why? What? But in that moment, she kind of realizes that love is the answer to breaking through anyone's walls. Like, kindness and love will bring them into their best selves. And that was a very Ted Lasso,
yeah, I can see that. Yep.
And it made me like go all soft when she had the realization. I was like, you're so right. And it hit different now that I've watched Ted Lasso. Because Ted Lasso has it in such a grounded environment, and those people start out so hard. I was rewatching Ted Lasso, and Rebecca is like really dickish to Ted in the beginning.
Yes, she is,
and it's so
terrible.
Beautiful watching him break her with kindness.
I feel like that's what Cassian did to Nesta.
Yes. Love is transformative, and it's so nice to watch it an arc like that. But it needs to be earned, and it's always slow burn. And so with Feyre, we learn to love her through like ACOMAF, right? Like, yeah. Did anyone love her in book 1?
No.
Yeah, she was just very much in fight or flight the entire book.
Yeah, and that's, well, even like the way she treated Nesta too, like, because we saw it like through Silver Flames. We saw Feyre through Nesta's eyes. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit different. Yeah. And I feel like if I hadn't read Silver Flames, obviously this is Nesta's book, I wouldn't feel the same. But one thing that I was thinking about when we were talking about redemption arcs, someone said in the chat that we don't really see a female's redemption arc. We don't get to see them hit rock bottom and turn a corner. It's kind of like if Ben Solo had a redemption arc, like he would be Nesta.
It would, yeah, it would.
Yeah, so I feel like I got my redemption arc for Kylo, but through Nesta.
Yeah. I like it better through Nesta.
Well, we
in the Fae
we
world.
also it's the start of a new trilogy, right? Because it's a continuation, but it's like the start of something new. And it was a great book to like start something, but also a really good character development instead
Yeah,
of
I feel like it was one of like the best spin-off books of all time that
Yeah.
I've read. I mean, it doesn't feel like a spin-off book. It feels like its own thing. Katie says that the keep reaching out your hand motif in A Court of Silver Flames is such a theme of my life. And that, again, that's like the beautiful, like, keep trying to extend kindness instead of reacting negatively to their negativity, sort of a thing. Because that's what they need. Oh, I love A Court of Silver Flames.
Okay,
I love the house.
Who's your favorite man character in all of hers?
It's Dorian.
Why?
I love Dorian. He's really funny. He always has a like snarky comeback to drop, and he's really like kind-hearted. He's never cruel in the way that you see a lot of the characters be. He's very sensitive when it comes down to it, and he loves books, and he tries to make he tries to make Selena feel as comfortable as possible in the palace. Like he really goes out of his way to try and be kind to her. And he's dealing with like all this unknown power and these daddy issues, and he goes through a lot in the Throne of Glass series that I can't go into detail about because you haven't really gotten to the part where he's like really at his lowest. But he goes through a lot of shit, and he has a really great arc, and I love them together so much, and I just felt like they were really meant to be, because I feel like he is sensitive where she is hard and all that jazz.
Yeah. I can see that.
I think her original plan, because it was originally a 3-book arc, was Dorian, because you can see the foreshadowing in different ways in the first book, but it became way bigger than that.
I would not know. As I've
Do
had
you
to
have
restart.
a favorite just having read the first 3?
Like man or like character?
Man, I feel like you might end up liking Rowan a lot. He's like your classic Natasha.
I think I will
love
probably end up
interest.
liking Rowan a lot. So Dorian kind of reminds me of Prince Eric. Like, I feel like it's a really good cast. Ooh, who's Lorcan?
Lorcan is coming. Lorcan's coming. She might like Lorcan. Lorcan and a lead. Yeah, they come later on. Kale is sensible while Selena is impulsive. Your team, Kale, Amy.
I like for like the hot minute that like Kale and Selena happened, I was like, oh, okay, like I get it. But I think I was like team Dorian. It's just more interesting to me.
Dorian is Aladdin, and I love Aladdin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. I really want to talk about Manon, because Manon is the Nesta of the Throne of Glass series.
Is she an heir of fire?
She's an heir of fire. You're going to meet her around page 90. You're going to hate everyone because they're all bitches. And then they're going to grow empathy. And it is such a beautiful journey. It's How to Train Your Dragon is going to start like around a page 100 of Heir of Fire. And it's beautiful. So Manon's journey is everything, and I'm not going to say who she's shipped with because Natasha hasn't read yet, and I want her to experience this for herself. But Manon and her ship is my favorite. Manon in anything, like I ship Manon with her dragon and her person and everything.
There's dragons?
Yes. I just said it's How to Train Your Dragons about
I didn't
to
think
start.
it was actually dragons.
It's an actual dragon. It's a wyvern, but that's a dragon.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I am in Air of Fire. Apparently I'm on chapter 21, but I have reread this book now twice.
Let's talk about your favorite Sarah J. Maas man.
Okay, so for a very long time, it was Rhysand. Because Rhysand is Henry Cavill, right?
I never pictured him that way, but go for it.
He was Henry Cavill in my head. And I was obsessed. And it was like the first time where like I met a fantasy character male that was really hot, and they had great chemistry and great sex. Okay. However, then I realized when we met everyone in the night court how very much they were like the Cullens, and how Cassian is very Emmett-like and Azriel is very Jasper-like. And as soon as we got to Court of Silver Flames, Cassian is it. Cassian is my favorite. Okay, he is my favorite man character. He's not as, sometimes I can't take like the teasing and all that stuff that like Rhysand does. And Cassian's just more of like the down to earth, like literally just wants to help you be the best person you can be. He's always there for Feyre, and obviously he was there for Nesta, and I just love him. He's like I wouldn't even call him a himbo because he's so smart, but I also love Azriel, so I love both of those guys. But Cassian's
you love
my favorite.
Azriel?
Yes,
Azriel is what I always call him.
He's very. I'm excited to see more about him. Like I feel like I'm gonna really like Azriel.
I have a weird feeling about Azriel, and I hate Elaine now.
I hate Elaine. I honestly wanted to put her as my like least favorite character.
She is on my least favorite character list. When she popped into my head, I was like, oh, it's definitely Elaine. She's so passive in almost every way, always. Mm-hmm. It bothers me so much. Yeah, Katie just said she could be a good villain, and I was like, to the point where I'm wondering if she's going to be. We have a weird end to A Court of Silver Flames where she's kind of in a love triangle position in a lot of different ways, but nothing, we don't know her, we don't understand her really. I have a fishy feeling about her.
Well, the sisters kind of remind me of Little Women in a way. Like Feyre is Jo, Nesta is Amy, and like Elaine could be the one that dies. Beth.
Ugh.
Amy March, Jo March.
Or is Feyre Hermione? No. Yeah. Wait, no. Maybe.
She could be.
Yeah. That's an interesting parallel. I definitely see it. I mean, technically, both of those women have died and come back to life, right? Or they all have died and come
back to life. Okay, so Beth is the one that dies. Meg is Hermione.
Yeah. No, I knew you were right with Beth is the one that dies. I just don't know how that's going to be. I feel like she does draw a tighter, Elaine definitely would be drawn to Beth if we were doing that parallel. And,
or
Jo's mentality definitely feels more like Feyre, but Feyre does, fall in love and like almost get married to the first person.
Yeah, it's true.
She loves, and
so
that's
she
like
could
what
be
Meg
more like
does.
Meg.
She's a mix because there's only 3 of them, so we have to mesh too. So at this point, what is your favorite Sarah J. Maas book?
Oh, Silver Flames.
Oh, Julia just said that I feel like Joe is Nesta because Joe is so fiery.
I could see that.
I could
That's
see
what I was
that
thinking
too.
too. And then maybe
You
like
know,
Elaine is Amy, and no
no,
one dies.
Elaine is not Amy. Amy's too determined and
That's
like
true.
abrupt. Like Amy burned her manuscript. I will never get over that scene.
Yeah. So Amy is Nesta.
Amy is like, yeah, you can't. So Nesta would do something like that
Mhm.
for sure. I don't put it past her in any way, like shape or form. Doesn't she also like mess with their old stuff? I don't know. I don't remember what happens to Feyre's like paints and stuff. I don't know, but Nesta.
Well, Joe
would
cuts
do
her
it.
hair to make money for the family.
That is such a Feyre thing to do.
Katie says
They would
Cassie
be like, slice off my arm to feed the family.
Cassian. Katie says Cassian is big Lori energy.
Cassian is big Lori energy. This is lining up with Amy being Nesta.
Okay, well, there's lots of traits within them all. Okay, back to the books.
All right, back to Silver Flames.
So
Tell me about why it's your favorite.
Silver Flames is my favorite. I think because it's like a start of something. It's a spin-off. There isn't too much
going on.
There's more internal trauma that we're having to deal with.
Yeah.
And which is what I like most out of books. And because with, why I didn't like the third book so much, because it was the big battle and we couldn't really focus on the characters. And I felt like some of those things were forced, like especially with Moore in ACOTAR. And Silver Flames was just it was like ACOMAF but better, in my opinion. Now, I do have to say, even though I put it as my third, Crescent City, the first one, Earth and Blood, was so good.
So good.
Like, the last part of that book,
The last 300 pages
is an Avengers style
so
ending.
Good.
And
The end is excellent.
I was just on the edge of my seat the entire time reading it. And it was so good that once I finished, I had to tell Alex the entire thing. Because I was like, this is so good. I need to tell you how this ended.
Yeah, I told the whole, like, in my whole book talk, I think I went through, like, everything. I was in hysterics, too, like, screaming at that book. Like, there were a lot of great story pivots, too, toward the end that you don't see coming, but also made a lot of sense. So, it was great. Tower of Dawn is excellent and very underrated because everyone skips it because everybody hates Kale, except for... Who was it like that? Who was Team Kale in the chat? Was that you, Amy, or was it someone else? Yeah, Amy. Except for Amy. Everyone hates Kale, and nobody wants to read Tower of Dawn. But let me let you in on a secret. Like, Kale really isn't the lead character. It's a character named Yelena. It feels very much Silver Flames. It's a very internal struggle she's going through, and she's helping Kale heal, and their love story is very beautiful, too.
Oh.
It's very much her story. Like, I don't feel like it's Kale's story. And it's a sibling story in a lot of ways because we're dealing with this new court and there's a ton of siblings and it's like, who's going to be the next heir sort of a thing happening.
Amy
yeah, the
says
world
spoiler.
building in Tower of Dawn is great. What was a spoiler?
I don't know. Whatever. Don't talk about it because then I won't know. Okay. Christine, you have a book on here that I haven't read.
Which one?
Which is your favorite?
Queen of Shadows.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We kind of touched on this, but there's a showdown in Queen of Shadows that made me so fucking giddy. And I'll just say it's Manon versus Selena. And it is the best. And I can't tell you, I was waiting for it. As soon as we meet Manon, like, we realize she's the foil to Selena. In a lot of different ways, they're matched. And it's like, because Selena is the, like so capable, so smart, and has so much power. And Manon is that in her community. Like, she's like the head witch. Like, she's the head bitch. Everyone bows to her. And like, to see these two run up against each other and fight, it was like the Civil War of the Throne of Glass series, and it was so good. And there's also a moment in Queen of Shadows, remember, I threw the book across the room, and like, I love that Sarah, most of the time when you throw the book across the room, if you turn the page to the next chapter, Sarah's gonna fix it, so it's not like gonna burn you forever and ever, which is something I really love about her books. When there's like that moment that you hate, it's resolved really quickly. Which is what we want. I don't want a miscommunication stretching for 5 chapters.
Yes, please.
Okay. Katie says that she sometimes gets the events of Queen of Shadows and Empire of Storms confused. So Empire of Storms suffered from like a lot going on at once, and we didn't get to like dig as deep into any. I feel like one character struggles.
Which book number is Queen of Shadows?
That's Queen of Shadows is 4, and then the next one is Empire of Storms. And that it's not like I didn't like it, but I didn't feel as deeply towards it. There was a lot going on, and it was almost like too many storylines to really be as invested as you want in any one storyline, you know? It was a battle book. Yeah. It was a lot of battles.
The battle stuff, I enjoy, but I don't think that's Sarah's strong. Okay.
But there's a lot of sex in that book too.
What do you think is the best book for sex?
Empire of Storms has the most memorable sex scenes for me in that series. I love Queen of Shadows, but like there's this sex scene with, I'm just gonna say it's Selena, obviously, and it's Aelin and Rowan, and I just remember it so thoroughly because it was the first time we went there in a Sarah J. Maas book where there was so much detail about what's happening with like the cock. And it was like very memorable also because of the setting and what happened. And yeah, and it's young adult, and it was just like, whoa. And then there was like one of my other ships, my Manon ship that I love, really started going places in Empire of Storms, and I love that so much. And they were on a pirate ship, which was also really fun. So good times. Me reading as a Catholic school girl, having my mind blown, Katie says.
You obviously did not read fan fiction when you were in high school.
No, I didn't either. And I feel like everyone who like had not read a romance novel with a lot of sex like got to this scene in Empire and Storms and was like, oh my God, everyone remembers where they were and how they were feeling when they read that scene in Empire of Storms.
I remember
my
everyone
gateway sex scene.
I remember everyone talking about it too and being like, whoa, this is not YA anymore. Like everyone was talking about it on Twitter, and I was like, huh, okay. I was like, what is your standard? I would like to know. It came out after ACOMAF, right? Or it came out,
I think, yes, I think it came out after ACOMAF. So this is like, there was all this controversy because she wrote A Court of Wings and Ruin and Empire of Storms at the same time, and you could kind of tell because they weren't as like honed as the other novels in those series in terms of like the character
growth
feeling that you get. Yeah. I mean, again, like I had a great time reading them, but like they definitely don't stick in my mind like Queen of Shadows, you know. Why am I blanking on the last book? City of Ash?
Kingdom of Ash.
Yeah, Kingdom of Ash also doesn't stick as hard. I remember the witches plotline. Like, really, they become the stars because we've kind of seen, by the time we roll around past book 4 is like the big finale for Selena Sardathian's growth arc, really. And then we're really pulling for like characters like Dorian and Kale, who haven't really gone through their full arc yet. And not having the lead go through like her major arc all the way through the end kind of makes it feel a little imbalanced in terms of, I don't know, the way that the last two books stick in your mind.
I don't know why when my mind just went to this, but this is like the first female written, I think, fantasy novel that has this much hype behind it. And
You mean Harry Potter.
Okay, adult
Female lead.
Female lead, female written adult fantasy novel. And I'm comparing this to like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. There's even like the Time one on Amazon. Anyways, all of those are written by men, and this is like the first time that a female written high fantasy has been so successful. And I'm very interested to see how it's going to be treated. Like,
well, I do think that like Cassie's books do rival this, like are maybe just as successful, or they already have been. They've already been adapted twice into two different things.
But they were treated so poorly because
it was teen girls, and now this is considered for adults.
Yeah, and Julie has correct. It's urban fantasy. Like this is a whole new world with fashions that are not like our own, with worlds that are not like our own. And when it eventually does get adapted, I wonder if they're going to treat it the way like they treated Game of Thrones.
I hope they do, but I'm scared because, like most things, I don't know. I want to say that like have a lot of sex, and Game of Thrones has a lot of sex, but like no one ever talks about it as men. Like the boys were never like talking about that. They're talking about like how violent and shit it is. I don't know. I don't know. I'm nervous. I feel like it could easily be not taken seriously. Yeah, Game of Thrones did have a lot of rape. Game of Thrones, but it's like it is like a very boys club thing if you look at it at a glance.
Which is why I didn't love the first few seasons.
Yeah, and I instantly liked it because it was like there was so much storytelling going on, and like I don't know, you hadn't seen something like that was like fantasy-ish on TV at that time. But like the sex scenes weren't why I liked it. Those were like the least good parts because they were like mostly rape scenes. So those were like horrible. Yeah. But the other aspects of storytelling and writing were really well done. But it's will they take it as seriously because it's a female written show and has romance in it? Like that's the fear. Like, I hope they do at this point in 2023.
Again, I hope it is, like, the same treatment that we got for Shonda Rhimes and Bridgerton. Like, I feel like it should be held in that regard. And, like, it took Shonda to have, 4 or 5 huge fucking shows on ABC to be able to do anything she wants. Like, some of the biggest shows on primetime television.
Actually, it's like I feel like authors also have a bit more control these days, and they only have control if they build it into the contract.
They're producers.
In the beginning. What did you say?
If they're producers.
Yeah, if they want to be a producer, and because she's been so successful, like hopefully she is, and at this point, I think the rights have been reacquired a few times, so I'm sure by now it's in there. But before you've been told, kind of, to make sure that it's in the contract. I know a lot of authors make the mistake when they first sell the rights of not ensuring that they're going to have that sort of a creative pull in the project.
Yeah.
I don't think The Mask would look stupid if they put the same sort of care and effort into the cinematography. It's all about how it's shot and lit and all that stuff. Like the amount of budget that goes into it, the amount of care that goes into like choosing the actors and the locations and
choosing
the
the costume designer.
Yeah, it's not about like the fact that they're wearing masks that could easily be just as cool if they have it done right. It's gonna be about special effects too. Like if again, they have to have the budget to do good special effects. It's hard. That's why I'm scared when one of these high fantasy things get translated. Just like we're saying that Shadowhunters is urban fantasy, but like it has a lot of fantastical elements with the fucking demons all the time, and if the demons look silly, it's instantly silly. That's why like the show instantly was annoying, because they would poke a demon with a stick and they just poof into fire. And it was just like they didn't have the money to make it into what it should look like, and it looked like shit.
I feel like also if it had the same treatment as The Witcher, like The Witcher's amazing.
Yep.
And the effects on that are fantastic.
Are iffy sometimes. Yeah, but because they take it so seriously, it still works.
Yeah, even like Dungeons and Dragons was fucking hilarious, and the fat dragon. I love that movie. Did you have any other points you wanted to talk about?
Points I wanted to hit. I wanted to just like touch on some of the most memorable scenes from these books for us that stick out the most. And I'd love to hear in the chat what scenes stick out to you the most. Like I divided mine into like memorable sexy scenes versus memorable non-sexy scenes. And a lot of my favorites that stick out are like, I find the dancing scenes to be so great in Sarah J. Maas's books, and my favorite is the Nesta dancing at the party scene. Like, I forget who she's even dancing with at first, but then she's dancing with Cassian.
I don't remember this.
My gosh, I have to read it again. I want to read it again so bad, but I love that scene, and I love all the friendship scenes are so strong in these books. Like Nesta and her friends training for that mountain thing. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember the feelings I got when I was reading.
Yeah, I love those scenes too. Even even the thing in the library, that's kind of what stands out to me in the house.
Which thing in
the depths of the library that like come for her? I think it's
for Nesta?
Yeah.
Oh. Wow. I was picturing that with Feyre, because she has like, there's like a monster down there in one of the books, so I was getting confused.
It's Nesta.
No. There's another one though. There's another monster, like the Weaver, but not the Weaver, in like one of Feyre's books. I'm getting them confuzzled, but I know what you're talking about. I know that she was in the library too, but I pictured the library different with her. This is so weird.
There's been like multiple things in the library. But also like
there's also a library in Tower of Dawn.
the house just being like the character as itself.
Yes, I love that so much. Oh my gosh. I was just remembering also one of the scenes that stands out the most to me is the drop with Bryce and Danica.
Oh.
The drop. Yeah. That lighted up.
Oh my god.
Like the tears. Oh. I was fucking hysterical. Like I was like losing my mind crying.
Same.
It was so good. Because she needs like a person to be her base while she drops. Ugh. Anyway, when Aelin is yelling, take it off. Wait, I can't remember what that is. That's probably a spoiler for Natasha. Oh, crap! Kingdom of Ash. I can't remember. But the witches in Kingdom of Ash, that scene, I will never forget that scene.
Nesta and the stairs.
Nesta versus stairs. One of the best parts of Silver Thorns. Silver Flames.
Can't even imagine like
those stairs.
God, no. It started so funny because people like were like, I'm gonna start doing this stair challenge, and so they even started doing it, and they're like, I can't do it. Like, oh.
It's a fly. Yeah, I love that though as part of the plot. Like the stairs were another character, just like the house, and it was So effective. All right. Real quick, who was your least favorite character in the series before we move on?
Ianthe.
Ianthe is so annoying in A Court of Wings and Ruin. All I remember is like wanting to throw her out the window constantly.
Gosh. Well, and then we said Elaine already because I forgot how much we do not like her.
Yeah. I really grow to not like her toward the end of the series. She used to just be there. Ash says I was a Tamlin hater for day one. Yeah, from day one. Like, I feel like it's natural for us to hate Tamlin. That's almost why I didn't, like, put him down. Because I don't hate him. Like, he doesn't annoy me as a character as much as Elaine.
I mean, it was interesting rereading this book because I was young, I didn't understand, and I was like, oh, I love Tamlin. And then when things started changing, I was like, wait, no, like I'd already talked about. So for me, it's hard to like hate like the most hated. So I will hate Ianthe the most.
All right, shall we move into Mary Kiss Cliff?
Yes.
All right, you did this one.
No, you did this one.
I did this? I don't even remember writing this.
Okay. Yeah, you wrote this.
I must have done this first off when I made the doc. Okay, Mary Kiss Cliff. We've got Dorian, Athalar Hunt, and Rysand. Who are you going to marry? Who are you going to kiss? And who are you going to cliff?
Oh, boy. Well, you can't cliff Hunt or Rysand because they have wings.
What? I would cliff Hunt.
No, I mean, like, you can, but they'll survive.
Whatever.
Okay, Ash says, I will kill Hunt, kiss Cassian, and marry Rysand. There is no Cassian, honey.
Yeah, Cassian's not here.
Okay.
Are you going to kiss Dorian?
I am going to marry Rysand. I'm going to kiss Dorian, and I'm going to cliff Hunt.
All right. I'm going to marry Dorian, and I am going to kiss Rysand, and I am going to stab Hunt through the heart. I don't know. I don't want to do it. You know what? I'd rather just push him off the cliff, and then Bryce can just meet him at the bottom.
There you go. He wouldn't even go to the bottom. He would probably just like, whoop, and then he'd be like, what the fuck? And then he would bitch slap you.
What I would do, honestly, is try to push him and nothing would happen. Like, if we're going to be realistic here.
Yes.
He would laugh. Like, what are you doing? All right. Let's talk about the very end of ACOTAR in Chapter Chat. All right. We read 3 chapters this week. It's a new world record. And do you want to kick us off? You want me to kick us off, Natasha?
Why don't you kick us off?
All right. So we left off with the first big cliffhanger. And Feyre has stabbed Tamlin in the heart. But his heart, we learn, is made of stone. It's part of the magic that is concealing his magic. And so her dagger hits something hard, and she pulls out the tip of it. She pulls out the knife, and the tip of it has been nicked and turned inward on itself. Oh,
like she thought it was going to.
It freaked me out, just like imagining his heart actually being literal stone. And then Aramantha is like, it doesn't count. I said you'd be free, but I didn't say when anyone would be free. And she starts torturing Feyre and screaming like, you don't deserve Tamlin, admit that you don't really love him. And she's like, I wouldn't say that even if she splattered me across the ground. And Rysand is in the background like yelling Feyre in
roaring.
This, roaring Feyre in this tortured, like upset way, like he cares. And he ends up attacking Aramantha, knowing he's not going to win, but just so that she'll stop torturing Feyre for a second, honestly. And so he does succeed in giving her like a moment of relief, but then she tosses him into the wall. And during this time, she's in so much pain, and she figures out the riddle, and she's like, it's love. It's the moment I was talking about, the Ted Lasso moment. She's like, love is the answer to the riddle is love. And then in that moment, the spell breaks because she remembers that was like an instantaneous break if she got the riddle. And so then Tamlin instantly gets his magic back. And before Tamlin can attack him, Aramantha kills Feyre. But the bond is already so strong between Rysand and her that she's able to watch the rest of the scene through Rysand's eyes. She doesn't realize at first that it is him, but it is. And she's looking at herself on the floor with her neck turned at like an unnatural angle. And Lucian's next to her crying, and Tamlin is livid.
Yeah, Lucian his mask is off at this point.
Yeah.
So we see his face for the first time through Rysand's eyes. And apparently Tamlin's mask is not off yet. So he turns into like his roaring beast mode and blasts Amarantha like with his golden light and goes in for the kill. Like Lucian throws this sword and he stabs it through her head and then bites her neck and pulls out her throat.
It's disgusting. Like, just imagining she's already dead and then he like rips out her throat with his teeth.
Yeah. Katie says Tamlin was angry in a "you broke my stuff" way, but Rysand was devastated in a "my mate is gone" way, and that tells you all you need to know. Yeah, I also, because I read this once and I listened to it again. I was like, what happened to the adder? So there was several fairies, as like Tamlin was going in for the kill, several fairies and high fae tackle the adder and the guard so that Tamlin can kill Amarantha. So I don't know if they're dead now, but...
Yeah, I don't know. But after she dies, the first high fae to come do a drip drop of power is Lucian's daddy, which was surprising to me.
Drip drop of power. Drip, 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 little April
and then,
flowers.
He's like, for all that she did for us or whatever. And then the last to come is Rysand, and he says to Tamlin, like, this makes us even, right? Like, of course he's going to do it, but he's trying to make this, like, we're even now, drip drop. And then she comes back to life.
It is it's a bit emotional because he's just like, after he kills her, he comes back and is like holding her body and like sobbing over her.
Tamlin?
Yeah.
Yeah. That really just went over my head. I guess I was waiting for the drip drops.
The nuggets of light, the glittering kernels.
Yes. And then she comes back like she's swimming up from the dark depths of water. It's back to her body almost. And
she's high fae.
She's high fae. She's like, wow, I'm so much faster and stronger. I was like, you haven't even moved yet. She's like, wow, the chandelier is so clear up on the ceiling.
She looks at her hands and she's like glowy.
She's like, they're longer than they used to be.
And she like looks around, and first thing she like basically thinks about is the two high fae that she killed.
She immediately feels like shit that she killed two people.
And it's the first time that she sees Tamlin's face unmasked.
Yes. She's like, it's better than I even imagined, or it's just as I imagined. I can't remember. Their moments together feel so melodramatic romance to me.
Yeah, it's like her eyes, her eyes were dull, and Tamlin notices and takes her to the bedroom, or to a bedroom somewhere.
A bedroom, yeah. And she's like, how can I ever repay you? But she's thinking, like, how can anyone ever want me? I murdered people, basically. Right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm a terrible person.
And well, then she's like, this is what I murdered those fairies for. It's for Tamlin. And I was like, really?
For this. And he's like kissing her all around. She's like, one kiss for makeup for each moment that we lost together.
Does he bite her again?
I don't think so. This is more of like a tender moment between them. And then she wakes up after I think they slept together, and she thinks it's night. She gets like a tug in her stomach, and it pulls her out to this balcony where Rysand is waiting to say goodbye. Mm-hmm. And
she hasn't seen the sunlight though in 3 months.
Yes, and she asks him, like, why did you fight Aramantha in those moments? And he says that he didn't want her to be fighting alone, and he didn't want her to die alone. And she, like, thinks to herself, it's just like what she said about that fairy. She didn't want to die alone in the foyer of Tamlin's mansion back when that fairy was brought in bleeding. Mm-hmm. And it kind of, like, hits a soft spot in her. And then Rysand asks, like, what's it like to be a high fae? And she's like, well, my body is high fae, but my heart is still human. And I feel so terrible about those murderers and blah, blah, blah. And he kind of like, they have this deep moment, and he really quickly rolls his neck and is like, well, I guess I'll see you soon. And he's about to winnow out. Or she learns that he really likes to fly too.
Yeah. And he's like, why? Oh, she asked, why didn't you let people know, like, why didn't I know that you loved your wings so much? She's like, well, if I let people know I love things, then they get taken away.
Yeah. And that's exactly what he's doing with her, almost. Like, if he lets anyone know that he likes something, it'll be ruined. But it is very Jace Wayland of him. I mean, I love a Jace Wayland. But in that moment, as he's about to winnow away, he feels the bond, like the mating bond, really solidify. Like, there's no denying it. And he looks at her all shocked.
Like, yeah.
And she notices, obviously. She's like, what? What is it? And then he disappears.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, so Feyre and Tamlin walk out the way she came into the mountain. They destroy under the mountain, the court under the mountain, and destroy the entrance. And then they walk through, I think, that tunnel or pathway back to the spring court. And she's like, we're home.
Yeah, she said, let's go home. And that's like the last line of the book. Mm-hmm. Also, Jurian's eye and bone are missing.
Oh, yes.
And because they come back into play in Akamath. And Alice and her boys, we just see them like playing outside. Mm-hmm. So we get a little cameo that they're safe. And that's the end. Abby says, I need a side book of him returning to his inner circle and telling them that he met his mate. Does he tell them? I guess he must. They share everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
also,
just don't remember
his point of view when he goes to save her, pretty much, in Akamath. He does talk about an Akamath, yeah.
Arma doesn't find out till he shows up with her. I can't remember that scene where she first meets everybody. I remember Moore being like really nice to her. I think that's all I remember. Mm-hmm. And then wearing like outfits with pants, and she's like, "Yeah, I love pants." I was like, "I love pants too." But that is ACOTAR. We fucking did it.
We did it.
Yeah, the Night Court Loungewear, Katie says. So next we're thinking about reading The Host and mixing it up here. Did we decide on reading The Host, Natasha?
Yeah, I think so. I just want to know if I can read ACOMAF without reading it like this.
This is the thing. Like, if we don't read ACOMAF like this, will we actually reread it? Because you were like, I don't know if I can read it week to week, but will we read it at all? I don't know.
I guess we'll
Maybe
see.
I guess we'll see what. We're going to have a think about it and then announce.
Well, it's going to, like, the host is bigger than ACOTAR. So
The host is huge.
it's huge. It's going to go into season 2. So unless we want to start, like, if we want to start ACOMAF or we do the host, I don't know. Maybe we'll put a poll up and see what people think.
Okay, we'll put up a poll. Naomi says, I think you guys could just discuss more chapters at a time. We could. It's about, I guess, like how long the chapters are, because a lot of times we read it the night before. So we'd have to do like maybe 3 chapters at once. But also, it's at the end of the show, so we don't want to not have time to discuss everything. So we'll do a poll maybe.
Yeah.
A poll?
Yeah.
All right. The Host is the Stephenie Meyer book. Yes, if you haven't read it yet, it's her best book. You should definitely read it. It's amazing. All right. Well, that is going to be our show today on Tea Time. We have both recently gone back on dating apps, so we're going to do a little dating app discussion and tea time today. So that should be fun. And that'll be available at the Team Jacob tier and up on the Patreon if you're interested and you're not already a patron. And our show is edited by Alex Polis and Jake Needham, with music by Cole Jenkins and vocals by Heather Traska. We are on Instagram and, of course, YouTube, where we have a visual version. You can subscribe for free so that you never miss an episode over there. You can watch the show. And we're on most socials. Twitter as the Fork Fangirls Pod. Fork Fangirls Pod. The links are all in the show notes. We'd appreciate if you followed at least one of them, so you know when we post stuff, post new episodes, and you don't miss one. Yeah, I'm Christine.
I'm Natasha.
And we post new episodes every Friday. We'll see you next week. We're those Forking Fangirls. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Big stretch.